sale. Depopulation 50%. Unbelievable. Agenda 2030. Great Reset. When humans are in blockchain, it is very easy to control.
In January of 19 in California, and to set up the goals for the next 5 years. And one of them was by 2023 we will reduce the number of people in the world by 50%. I think today this dream is becoming reality.
But yes, I'm basically, if you said to me, who is right in the argument, the no-growth people or the let's go for growth people, I would certainly say the no-growth people. But I'd add as a corollary to that, you have to get population under control as well, because if you look at it in sheer economic terms, how can you sustain increases in per capita income at a time when you have rising population without rising economic growth? Whereas if you have a declining population, which is what I would aim for, then of course even a stable economic growth situation will give you increases in per capita income. So that's where I stand.
Do you have a sense of what the carrying capacity of Britain is, or of the world as a whole? Or?
Well, Britain, I put it at 10 or 15 million. I think that'd be absolutely fine. I mean, that would do us really splendidly. At a limit, 2025, I think it's complete nonsense that we are now confronted with an island, would you believe it, of 70 million people. I wrote a paper, I think it's the only paper the Conservative Party has ever published, and it was published as an old Queen Street paper in June 1972, oddly enough. And it was called Britain Needs a Population Policy. And
you could still argue that today, I mean, right now.
I certainly could. But what has happened, of course, is that we have all been, as it were, shunted off course by what you might call the rise of political correctness, because you can't talk about this now without saying you're anti-feminist, because you're telling women what to do with their bodies, or you're racist, because you're saying it's the browns and the blacks and the yellow races who mustn't have, or you're left-winger, because you're trying to get at the capitalist society. So it's a very, very difficult one now, and I would say that at the very least, the governments of the world have to start talking, the government of this country has to start talking seriously about immigration. Because if you look at the rise in Britain's population now, you will see that, as it were, there is a really serious differential in the fertility of the immigrant population to the fertility of what you might call the indigenous population. So anyway, but this is very political stuff, not one for Guardian readers.
Became the first vaccine that was ever created specifically for Africa. So it's just targeted to the meningitis that was taking place there. That allowed it to be very inexpensive, allowed it to be a single-dose vaccine. And so what's happened now is, we've made the vaccine available, and everybody in this band of countries we saw, the meningitis belt, will get the vaccine.
One of the things to remember as flu season approaches is people have got to get vaccinated. Whether it's getting the flu vaccine or getting up to date in your COVID shots. There are actually new formulations out now that are up to date, to cover both Omicron and the original strain of COVID. And we encourage everyone to get those vaccinations, to keep pressure off of our hospitals, of our frontline heroes who are working so hard to keep people safe, but also keep pressures off of our economy and communities. If we're able to get a high enough level of vaccination, we reduce the danger of needing to take other health measures to make sure that we're all safe and not overloading our hospitals. And I look forward to continuing to work with premiers like Premier Ford on delivering a strong healthcare system for the future.
We said last week, we do reserve the right to mandate certification at any point if it's necessary to reduce transmission. And I should serve notice now that by the end of September, when all over 18s will have had their chance to be double jabbed, we're planning to make full vaccination the condition of entry to nightclubs and other venues where large crowds gather. Proof of a negative test will no longer be enough.
It's the beginning of a global mobilization effort.
Why do we never believe them?
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share.